Hey there, YouTube. I put up a video a few days ago talking about getting officers to pass the qual if they're struggling, that kind of thing. Just some advice, some things to try. Essentially, I'm an advocate of having people go faster, accepting some mistakes, taking away some accountability, let people, get acclimated to shooting at a higher speed, then bring the accountability back in. In any event, this generated some comments and discussion. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. Let's do it. All right. Let's read this comment first because I like it. This is the biggest change that needs to happen in law enforcement training. The idea of getting them to practice at speed escapes most trainers and officers. This is something me and my staff started doing the past few years, was pushing officers past their comfort zone into something they've never done before, and then learn how to diagnose and fix issues they would have and ultimately get better. Very few took it and ran with it, while the majority continued down the usual path and maybe get marginally better. Okay. We always told them you're never going to slow down your shooting in a gunfight and will probably fire the gun faster than you ever have before. So why not figure out that in practice? Officers fire at what we like to call the speed of panic, because that's essentially what they're doing because they've never done it before. Okay. The hard, sad truth is that most police officers don't want nor care to get better. Even the ones that have previously been in a shooting, something we like to call survivor biased, or it worked for me that time, I'm good enough. Most police officers that survive a gunfight are simply lucky. There's so much that needs to change in law enforcement training community. However, I don't think we'll ever will because of everything from terrible leadership to poor mentality and expectations. Wow. So that guy said a lot, but that's his opinion. And that's opinions along those lines are something that I hear a lot, where guys just generally don't like the training. They're not into it. Or they don't care that much, or the management doesn't like the guys doing training, whatever. There's always issues. And it's just interesting to hear that perspective. Let's take this question. This one looks antagonistic. I like that. Okay. All you USPSA shooters, how would your speed and accuracy suffer if you were forced to qualify with level 3 security holster and agency issued pistol with a heavy, long, lawyer designed trigger pull? You can't fairly compare the loose equipment rules of the action shooting sports to the highly regulated world of street law enforcement officer that is mandated to carry the company gun in a company issued holster. Well, yeah, I think actually you can. You can compare those things. And what I would say, to the USPSA guys is they're not going to do as well when they use like real equipment like that. They're just not. Their shooting's going to be slower. However, if you actually train with that gear all the time and that's what you're used to, it's really not that much of a hindrance, all things considered. Like, for example, a staccato out of an open-topped holster, like the hit factors that I'll shoot with that are not, they'd be better on average than like a Glock from a retention holster, but they wouldn't be like, it wouldn't be like a different universe. I think one thing that I'll say is like, this is just true. Like there's the big gap you see is there's guys who practice and the guys who don't. And that's where you see a big gap. Like it makes equipment and all that, it makes it irrelevant. Somebody actually training regularly, they're going to do real well. They're going to be on a different universe in terms of performance than somebody who doesn't practice regularly. Oh, next comment. Dan was about to order an SRO. Yeah, the guy, I broke an SRO or had one fail finally. I did do that. That's my second dead dot, and they're both SROs in this case. Hundreds of thousands of rounds on SROs, and 2 failures, which, whatever. All right, another comment. In my 30 plus years in law enforcement, over 20 as a firearms instructor, my experiences are that the member that struggles to pass qualifications exerts no effort to pass. This is another thing you'll hear. It's like guys don't care. They're not into it. Yeah, that you'll hear that a lot. They reluctantly remove the weapon from its holster only when it's required at qual time. They may even show disdain for the weapon itself. Even with sound instructors, they resist new concepts. They just go through the motions and hope they pass so they can get the hell out of the range until next qual, where they will repeat the process. Really like your approach, and I think would be beneficial for the average shooter that wants to get better. Yeah, The member that will show attention to detail and put forth a solid effort. The shooter that wants not to pass but ace the qual has yet to do so. That's where I see promise for this technique of instruction. Thanks. Yes. Yes, I think you're going to get better results with people that want to be there and want to do it. And in any part of your life, you know? Another question. Hot take, law enforcement training in general is a flawed system. More shocking. USPSA is a performance-based competition. There are benchmarks you can achieve as a means of measurement of your overall skill level. Law enforcement training in general is not. It's a goal or outcome-based system. The training is focused, teaching a skill, student duplicates that skill and shows a level of proficiency and receives a certificate of training showing they are capable of performing that skill or task, but no way to measure their skill for any advanced or add-on training. Well, I just don't think that's true, what you're saying. Like you could measure these things if you chose to. You could keep metrics or keep records of this stuff with very detailed records, again, if you wanted to. I think the trend I've heard about a lot of places is to not keep such records, like it's pass or fail on the qual. Stuff like that is something you hear about sometimes, but I think that's like a legal thing in order to, I don't know, the guy passed the qual. That's what we know. Like we don't have more information. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I think you could keep those records. Okay. As a law enforcement for the last 16 years and firearms instructor for 9, this is something new to me, and I was indoctrinated to slow down and get your hits way of thinking. Okay. That said, since I've started shooting USPSA and have taken one of your courses, I have started incorporating this style of learning for troubleshooters. It does seem to help. On the flip side, the old FUD firearm instructors think I'm retarded for this approach, even though I can outshoot anyone in our cadre and the results always improve. Yeah, that's funny too. Out of the agencies I've worked for, there is zero training occurring, and all they care about is passing the qual. Most cops are shooting less than 200 rounds a year of agency ammo, if that puts it into any perspective. Yes, that's also consistent with my experience, or like consistent with what I hear about. So the agencies that I go to, I mean, if they're bringing me, like they have ammo, like they have, for sure, I know they have ammo because I asked them that, and they have budget to bring me. So the places that I go to are the outliers, like sort of by definition. And I'm in tune with that, not to worry. Like I hear from the other guys, I was like, oh, this is what normally is happening for these police agencies. Okay, Red Dot fanboys extra salty lately. Iron sights for life, I guess. I've had 2 SROs die. People do want to talk about the SROs. Had 2 SROs die within 30 days, sub 500 rounds. The shop I buy them from will swap them out for less than 30 days old. Yeah. If they die, like for any of the optics, like you're going to want to test it when you get it, because if it goes 1,000, 2,000 rounds, it's pretty likely that it's going to last a long time. And if it's like something's wrong with it, they tend to fail early. So that's not that weird. You just got defective ones. Okay. About halfway through the explanation of make 'em shoot fast argument, I was in fervent disagreement. I was so confident in my disagreement, I wasn't going to say anything. I was just going to move on with my life. I didn't figure the cat who couldn't pass a police pistol qual, which are normally laughably easy, would see very much or get very much out of shooting faster than their ability to make accurate hits. Then he said, they'll see something, a flash of their sights. They'll flash of their sights. They might even see their sights not do what they want every time. But if you raise the time from 4 seconds back to 10 seconds, it'll feel like an eternity for them, and they might be able to apply some fundamentals. I was like, beans. I've been foiled again by the Stegler. Who would have guessed that the guy with 20 plus years of firearms training, a couple big boy titles, know a thing or two? Sometimes you hate to be wrong. Sometimes it just be that way. Yeah. I think there's other strategies to get what you want. Like the guys, the fuddy guys that, hey, slow down and get your hits, that kind of thing, that type of mentality where if a guy's shooting, they're not hitting well, slow them down, make them get their hits. Like that's not a horrible way to do things, but having that be the only tool in the toolbox is not very good. That's not very helpful. Okay, appreciate this video. First thing, I think you have solid points, and as long as the ammo allocation supports it, this is probably the best way to do it. Yeah, I agree. Most of the places with a selection process, like you mentioned, have pretty generous ammo budget in my experience. in my job, you're basically given 90 rounds a year, 45 rounds for the pre-qual practice and 45 rounds for the qualification. There's not much wiggle room for experimenting with that, in my opinion. No, it's basically like fam fire. Like you just shoot the gun and make sure that it works and remind yourself of what shooting a gun is like for 45 rounds, then shoot the qual. All right, range owners don't want the litigation risk and possible damage to the range, so none allow rapid fire. So instructors work around this, and eventually they just assume rapid fire is bad. So there's a limited place for people to do any rapid fire shooting, if not at a 100% private range day. No, that's just not true. It's just not true. There's a lot of ranges where you can go do rapid fire. And for me, if the range is that stupid, like honestly, if the range owners are that dumb, I probably will not have a good time at the range and not want to go there. Let's take one more comment, and then we can move on. Oh, here's one. Food for thought. I just really want to hear the SRO story now. I gots to know. It's not much of a story. So I had an SRO that was flickering on one of my Glocks. So I knew, like, I was just like, ugh, I'm not sure this one's going to make it. So I threw an extra SRO in my truck and came out to the East Coast to do the things I'm supposed to do. And unsurprisingly, the SRO failed in the middle of a demo, actually. So that didn't surprise me. I was planning on it to fail. What sucks is I can't get the damn thing off the slide. So that's going to be... I'll find someone smarter with more tools, and that'll be their problem. But yeah, there's not much of a story. All right, let's take one more good one. I agree and see the value in what you describe as taking away the accountability. Yeah, I've actually done something similar with trainees in different classes, and at times remediation. I've either completely removed targets and let them shoot into the berm to work on speed while watching the sights and practicing fundamentals. I've also covered targets with trash bags and made them go faster. Many times people are surprised they're still on paper and didn't completely suck when the bags come off. So again, yeah, that's just the thing. Like, here's a good example. The first bill drill I did long ago, when I wanted to do a bill drill in under 2 seconds, and I had no experience, hadn't been trained by anyone. My first objective was draw the pistol out of the holster, get it pointed downrange, and fire 6 rounds in under 2 seconds, like without consideration of the target. Like that was the first thing I did. And that happened really quickly. Obviously there was no target. And then just, like learning, like just look at the center of the target and like you can shoot the pace, like just try to put them on the target, and I'm allowing myself to miss and all of that. I was able to shoot a sub 2 bill drill very, very quickly in my shooting career. With that type of mentality, with that type of approach. But it's unconventional, and for a lot of reasons, people don't like it. Anyway, that's enough for this. Yeah, I mean, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Questions, comments, put them down below.